we are now moving into water. Starting with Ash. 6 cost Ash EX, 9k forward. When the cost required to cast Ash, is reduced by 1 for each water backup you control. EX burst. When Ash enters the field, choose 1 forward. Until end of turn, it loses 2k power for each water backup you control.
Okay, I don't think I need to dumb this particular one down for anybody.
Also, Queen.
Card is good.
Queen's
Play
irrelevant.
card in water. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Queen is irrelevant because it's the one job type that Sara doesn't search.
Yeah, but isn't there a royal synergy that works with those as well?
Bron
Nah.
only searches princesses. She works with queens and princesses, but she only searches princesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say
And
it's
the,
even,
Yeah, but can't do
what's her name? The one that's dull, choosing knight or prince activated or something. It's not. Yeah. It's not.
I'm mixing my royals
Queen's
up
the
then.
left out
But-
one. Yeah.
But one
Queen's
cost
the one that's
one cost
Does-
9k. Yes.
Oh yeah, no.
One cost
Ash is
9K.
good. Ash is great. Ash is wonderful. She's a 2 of in mono water list. Great. Good job. Move on.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. One cost 9k neg 10. Thank you. Where was this 3 sets ago?
So I'm just going to quickly read this one because it's but it's still, I think, important just for the mannequin people out there. 3 cost false hero, forward 7k. You can discard a job mannequin instead of paying the cost for false hero. Job mannequins you control other than false hero, you get plus 2k power.
It's the second best of the bunch.
Yeah,
Second
good
best
for-
of this particular. Okay.
See, I will say with this one though, it's you may discard one job mannequin to cast him instead. Is that not what the backups do already? Say that
Yes.
you can pay any CP, like that effect is useless. Like it just makes him a 3 cost, 2
No.
cost. Like
But that's fine. 2 cost 7k to anthem your board by 2k. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And the fact that this is a multiplayer card,
Yeah, the
You
fact
can
that it's
pump
multiplayer is the same.
yeah,
Like,
you can pump all the other ones by 4, and then all the rest of your mannequins by 6. It's not irrelevant.
No,
Have all 3 of these
Yeah.
out and hope your opponent doesn't have removal.
yeah, it's a good card for mannequins. It will definitely get played in mannequins, but there's no other real deep cut into this card besides that.
oh, the new
Pretty
bar. No,
Yeah, new boss, clearly.
Hey, I did that. That was my
Kinda loves
move. That was
weird
my
shit like this.
move.
But yes.
No, clearly
Well,
it is.
two-
Hashmail Sophie into a mannequin, so this buffs it by 4.
2 cost
Let's
Ingrid.
go.
2 cost Ingrid, forward 5k. When Ingrid is put from field into the break zone, remove all the characters in your opponent's break zone from the game. If 5 or more cards are removed from the game by this effect, draw 1 card.
Eh,
Pretty funky with Famfrit.
I
that's about it.
like that water has the ability to do this. I just don't see them picking up this gun.
I feel like Ingrid is very much. The first time I read her, I was like, "No, it's useless." Cool, move on.
Yeah.
But in reading it again, because one of the only decks I have built so far is Mono Water, but reading it again and now again, I'm looking at it going, you know what? In top 8, I would not be surprised to see this hit the board once. If this hits the board, I'd be like, I can't say it was a bad choice, but finding
feel
deck
like
space is super hard, but especially in mono decks. But yeah, it's very much this card actually reads pretty good. I feel like it performs better,
It's
it doesn't make the cut for me, but I won't be mad if I see it.
it's a 0
this is
card.
the kind of card that makes me pray I had a sideboard.
Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
what I was gonna say. It's a 0 cost exile your opponent's break zone on their terms, but it's a toolbox. It's something I wish you could have as a sideboard or just.
Hold on. What do you mean by their terms?
Well, they're the ones that got to kill it.
No, they don't. I got
Famfrit.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Like, Famfrit is the only saving grace this card has, because if there's one thing I don't like outside of Porum, it's forwards that have to die to do anything.
Yeah, but I'm saying what I meant by their terms is most of the time it's going to be blocking when they're attacking or dies to something they're doing to the field.
Or Famfrit.
Or Fanfrit. Yeah, there are ways you can.
You're in.
Which
Like,
I will say.
let's be fair.
this-
You're in mono water. You're going to be running Famfrits. Like, it's just the cards are
I
real.
would expect this set Fanfrit to make a comeback because we're at the point where the Opus
Things are
1
immune.
Una backup is relevant again because Mono Water Summons is relevant again.
Yeah.
Therefore, Fanfrit is relevant again.
It was
Thank you,
relevant in
Ash.
Nationals, thank you very much. I went 3-0 with Mono Water.
What an unfortunate term.
2 cost Echidna. Hey, Typhon's got his wife now. Monster 8k. When Echidna enters the field, choose one summon in your break zone, add it to your hand. Speak of the summon. Discard one summon until end of turn. Echidna also becomes a forward with 8k power, and when Echidna attacks or blocks, draw 1 card. You can only use this ability once per turn.
Alright, so I absolutely love this card. I think it's phenomenal, and I am finding it difficult to find space for it in my deck because, holy wow, this is amazing. It is a 0-cost monster that, even like the activation cost, discarding a summon, I don't care because, like, if I'm using this as a blocker, it's an 8k blocker. If I'm blocking something smaller than it, I can block twice and draw 2 cards. It's beautiful.
I don't see this as a cost at all. I see this as you draw an Echidna, it is any other summon in your bin that you want it to be.
But just see
Yeah.
Smuggler's Copter, really.
And draw cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to love this card as a Mono Water player, but everything about it seems great. But I find myself whenever I'm deck building going, I just can't fit it.
I know, it's so hard to find
It's so
space for
hard
this
to
thing.
put into a deck, but everything on it says, "Oh, this reads wonderfully." But it's one of those ones that's very.
I feel like you have to do a split of this and Tross.
Yeah, but when Tross is a 1 or 2 of in pure Mono Water, you can't split Tross. Like Tross.
I don't know about you, but I'm running 3 Tross in my water decks normally, so.
I'm running 2 Tross, 1 Octomammoth.
That's what I do. I do Octomammoth, 2 Tross.
Yeah. Octomammoth is surprisingly stupid.
Oh, I know. I took it to 3-0 on Nationals.
Yeah,
I just don't play enough water, so I can't really have an opinion.
Alright, we know what the next
I
challenge
can-
for Squashed Peas is.
Yeah.
What? Play 3 Ash and hope it works?
Echidna's very. I don't know. I want it to be good. I feel like I might be being reserved. Like I might just build a list where I just build Mono Water and just drop Tross and play 3 Echidna and see where it goes.
You know what I see in this card? I see the other reason to go just Water Earth with Rydia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every card in your deck is every other card in your deck.
Another thing that gets me on this, like Earth, it's a really old deck, but it always reminds me of the ability to play Earth, Water, monsters, and the entire premise be play a shit ton of monsters, wipe your opponent's board, and Kefka make all your monsters forwards.
Yeah.
Echidna is a perfect example of that deck, like doing its thing. Like it's not bad, but yeah, yeah.
It's not conventional
I
water.
see you. I can actually hear your struggle with this card. It's just like,
I can't.
it's so
I love
it's so
water. I
good.
really want to play it in water, but it's so.
You know what this
It's
card feels
either
like to me?
great or bad. I don't know.
You know what this card feels like to me? It feels like Cerberus, where it's just like, I can't build a deck with 52 or 53 cards in it. I need to try and find room for this card.
Cerberus, I feel like I need to make room for it. Echidna, I'm like, I should make room for it, but I don't know if I can.
Kageyama,
I
up
think-
deck
I think
sizes
it's
to
a need,
60,
not a
please. Kageyama, up deck sizes to 60, please. It solves all our problems.
That'd be nice.
It solves all
That'd
the
be
problems.
That'd be a wonderful
Christmas
for that,
miracle.
online event thing that I'm gonna do. One of the formats will be 60 card decks.
That's something I was going to do as well. It's why I
Yeah,
made the
yeah.
joke. No, I want to test out. I want to test. Okay. I want to test out 60 deck format, and I want to test out sideboarding. Next
but anyway.
next cost. 3 cost Kalima. Backup. All cards in your break zones cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities. The power of forwards you control cannot be decreased by your opponent's summons or abilities.
Yeah, best tank.
You
card.
do nothing.
Yeah.
The text box reads really well, but the problem is it's on a 3-cost do nothing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even stop the one most relevant card that Exile's been.
which is
Yeah.
Miss Dragon.
Yeah.
But there is a card that does. We'll get
to that.
Cloud of Darkness backup. It's Cloud of Darkness forward as a backup. Enough said.
Damn, you hit your
Except
head pretty
without the
hard,
other
my
bit.
dude. No,
Pardon?
Dan, you hit your head.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have a look.
4 cost.
See,
Sorry.
sorry, just on Cloud of Darkness for 30 seconds. I know we're basically skipping past it because it's exactly the same as the Opus 1 Cloud of Darkness, only it's a backup. I like that it's a backup now.
I disagree.
I was gonna make-
I like the
I
forward.
was going to make a joke about how Opus 2 is about to drop. We're getting these sick mono lightning cards. We should probably playtest those, but yeah.
I
Cloud
disagree.
of Darkness feels like an Opus 4 card, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're gonna take an Opus 1 card, but make it slightly better. And by slightly better, I mean make it a backup, not a forward. But-
yeah.
I disagree heavily. I like Cloud of Darkness being a forward because it can die, so you can play another one later. It has the one strength that Toto does not have of being breakable and replayable. I
Yep,
disagree.
and look at the difference between Cloud of Darkness from Opus 1 and Shantoto from Opus 1. One of them is still played.
Because one produces mana of any type as well.
Hey, hold on a second. I resent that statement. I ran Cloud of Darkness in my Nats deck that went 3-0. I'm going to keep coming back to this. I don't care.
And you're talking to two people who made top 8 while you floundered in.
I was gonna
well,
say,
you floundered in
I was
the
gonna say, this isn't gonna work well considering the room.
Yeah, I was gonna say my only losses were first and second place.
Yeah,
And in
Yeah,
my
no.
Yeah.
anyway,
and in my defense, I'm a null factor because I got kicked out of the tournament. Too
that's what you
straight.
get for
Too
being so
stream.
good.
I don't care. I'm still going to be happy that the deck went 3-0.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, it
That's
did
fine.
well. Like Juggy said, it did
Yeah,
well,
like
yeah.
you deserve that.
I will
but,
say
like,
that about Mono Water as well, being someone who's played it from the start, it's my favorite color. Going well with Mono Water, you feel rewarded because it takes, like, you actually need to think playing Mono Water and outplay. Like, it's just such a rewarding thing.
It's
to be
why
like,
I
won with
actually-
Mono Water.
It's why I actually enjoy playing
Yeah.
Miracle Wind. That's the same reason I enjoy playing Miracle Wind. I feel I've earned my win.
When, yeah,
Well, the problem with doing that is that Wind almost autopilots itself at some point. Mono
I
Water
disagree.
never goes on autopilot.
I
You can
Wind
slide
disagree.
doesn't
back
okay.
autopilot itself. Wind, if you know the correct order to play things, pilots itself.
Yes.
Water is every single step of the way you need to make
To know
sure you're
what you're
doing
doing.
it perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing
Water-
with that. I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
the feeling I get from Mono Wind as well.
Yeah.
When you know what
Anyway,
you're doing with wind wins.
Yeah.
With water, if you know what you're doing with water, you still have to outplay your opponent.
Yeah.
You still need to bluff. Like you,
Anyway.
you need
Yeah, moving
yeah,
on.
let's move on and move on from this bad card as well.
Yep, cool.
T'Chaka,
T'Chaka, go away. 3 cost Neren, forward 7k. If you control a Job Princess, Neren gets plus 2k power. When a Job Princess enters the field, draw a card. This effect will trigger only once per turn. Mono Princess might be a thing someday, but I don't think it's good right now.
I don't think it's good now. I think it could have been good 3 sets ago, and it's not going to be good in 3 sets. It's past its prime.
Almost your entire backline is princesses, and this card is not good. Then there's a problem.
Mhm.
It's
But,
like
You know,
you could have, but no. I wish you did some redirection with princess. Like if a princess gets targeted by an effect, you can redirect it to Noreen instead.
yeah,
Because
she is
she's a body double.
Yeah.
Mm.
This is the Cycle Geomancer 1 cost backup. Moving on.
It's the best one because it's
absolutely.
water.
Yep.
4
Yep.
cost Rune Fencer, forward 8k. When Rune Fencer enters the field, choose one forward. It loses 4k power until end of turn. When Rune Fencer enters the field, you may pay 2 water, 1 generic. When you do so, choose one forward. It loses 7k power at end of turn. Not
I'm
familiar
on the
enough with
fence
water.
about this one. It got ruined. We made these jokes already. Next.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not quite next. I just want to check something for 30 seconds. Can you put Geomancer and Rune Fencer's artwork together? Because I'm pretty sure it's the same picture.
Yeah, it's almost a Legion art. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a panorama.
There you go.
I also want to point out it is a worse version of Shinryu Celestia.
Yeah, and
Like-
Shin Bruce
like
Celestial
this
doesn't
card-
see play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this card has existed for 3 sets, and even then, it was not good.
You're that first
Wasn't
apple I
being
didn't
played
want.
there.
And yeah, you didn't have to pay the extra 3. You just paid 4
Sack
for
the
a summon
thing.
and
Yeah.
killed something. Nah.
Well, here's from a bad card to a good card. 3 cost Leviathan Summon. This is part of the Exile one. Choose one auto ability triggered from a forward. Cancel its effects. If you pay the extra cost, the forward and that forward is on the field, return that forward to its owner's hand. Good card. Amazing. Love it. I mean, water.
Amazing. Why did they
I
pick this
can't-
card?
I can't believe the amount of people I had to convince. As soon as this card got spoiled, the only thing I heard for 3 days was people saying this card just is a worse version of Emmy. It's bad. It's no point. You're never going to pay the extra 10.
A worse version of a Ferrari is
but-
still a fucking Ferrari.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's the
but
second
that's the
best
thing.
card in the game.
People said I literally typed this back to them. They're like, it's just a worst Emmy, and I'm like, okay, so it's the second best card in the game. Like, what do you mean?
I'm
Like,
sorry. I'm
No,
not-
no, I
yes,
would've-
it's
sorry.
worse than the number 1 card of the game. Like, what do you want?
No, I would
It's
have.
still on the podium,
No.
and the fact that it gets one CP cheaper thanks to Una,
Yeah,
it's just
Una's
like,
so
Yes.
good.
come on,
Yeah,
guys,
there's so
wake
much
up.
If
for this
anyone-
card. It's just
If anyone had said to me, it is a worse version of Ami, I would have gone, say that slower and think about it.
Yeah, it's like,
yes.
please, just
Like,
play
can
this
we-
card.
Can we just establish to literally everybody that when you've got one of the best players in the world saying, like, because if I recall correctly, it was Chris
This was
Matisky
Matisky.
himself that spoilt the card. When you've got one of the best players in the world saying this card is legit, do not sleep on it. Do not sleep on it.
Because,
yeah.
and here's the other
Yeah,
thing.
nah.
It's we'll say sub Ami or weaker Ami, but
A weaker Amaterasu is still an Amaterasu.
no, that's not it. How many Amaterasus are in water?
Well, you got
Yeah.
one that cancels order and 2 that cancel action.
Now this one, but
Yes, that's the point.
beforehand, you were playing Water Fire to play Emmy.
Yeah,
Amaterasu.
but I'm saying it's a Ami effect, but it's an Ami effect in a color that doesn't have an Ami.
Do you know
Yeah.
the best part? It's an Emmy effect in a color that Rydia played anyway. Now
Yes.
Rydia has 6 copies
This is
of Emmy.
the other
Yeah.
reason. to
Rydia
go to
is
the
good
board.
again. Like you don't need Palamporum. You have 6 cards that say no, like for free. Like what?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Like it's not even just the fact that you can do it for free as well. If you got Una out, this is 2 CP. It's just like it's a
Yeah.
2 CP.
Oh, yeah.
no.
Cost with you, no. It's like,
But it's just.
Like, and it's the
Hold on,
best
guys.
part is
Hold on, guys. What was it? Squash Bees?
I mean, I was just going to say, again, I said earlier, I don't even play water. Even I can tell this card's good.
Go on,
Because it
Bloodfist.
just says no.
Go on, Bloodfist. Sorry about that.
oh holy like everybody keeps on going on about the remove 10 cards so you get the bounce, and why do you want to bounce the forward? Just ignore that line of text. Just
I
like
I
and
wouldn't
the
when
best-
it works, but yeah, you don't need it.
It'll
Like,
be
and
relevant
the
1 in
crazy
100.
part is like the fact that it's like the closest comparison we've probably got to this card is Phenom, right? Because that also cancels an auto ability from
No,
the forward.
because Fen is an action ability.
No,
I'm
Phena's
That's
just,
a
auto.
big thing as well.
I'm just,
Yeah,
compar-
Phena's
I'm
an
just
action
trying
as opposed
to,
to a summon.
yeah. I'm trying to find an apple.
Fena
Like,
is an action ability to use Fena's effect. Leviathan is a summon. Like the
Yeah.
closest comparison is Ami, and that's what I mean. It's like it's worse than Ami,
Which is the best
only
card.
in being the second best card in the game. Like it's incredible.
but
The
that-
second
but-
ability you can do, sure, if your opponent pays 8 for something like Ramza. If your opponent pays 7, you go no, and then remove the 10 to say, I know you
Get back
can't
in your
do
hand.
that again. Like, that's when Leviathan becomes, like, on par with Hammy, but otherwise it is just no. Like,
Yeah, fair enough. But
Ugh.
walk with me for 30 seconds. Walk with me for 30 seconds, right? We're comparing it to Fena. Fena's like the ability to use Fena's action ability is conditional. This isn't.
I mean, it's the difference
well,
between.
I mean, see,
Like,
this,
if you
this
don't
card's
have
condition,
if you don't have 4 wind backups, you can't Fina things.
yeah, but this
But it's
card's
mono.
condition is if you're playing water cards, you have the no. Fina's win condition is if you're playing the good deck, you can say no. Like that.
We're arguing
Yeah,
which
I
is
think-
better between
it's like-
a purple
It's like-
Ferrari
yes.
and a pink Ferrari. Let's be honest
Yes,
here.
yeah.
And I'll
They're
also
all
point
good.
out-
They're all good.
In my opinion, we have Amaterasu, Leviathan, Shentoto, Fina. They're the 4 best cards in the game.
Yeah, like, I'll point out,
Like-
Ami kills the thing, Levy's cheaper, quicker, Fina only uses 1 card. All of them have something good to do, but all of them have one thing in common, and that's that they say no.
Yes. Yeah, no, good card.
Next,
Good card. Let's
next-
move on.
Yep. 3 cost Renoa, forward 7k, warp 2/1 water. When Renoa enters the field, you may pay X. When you do so, choose 1 forward of cost X or less, put it into the break zone. Special, reveal 1 forward in your hand, choose 1 forward, deal it damage equal to the power of the forward you reveal. I don't know how I feel.
So, the big argument for everybody is that this isn't Renoa because it's the Amano initial concept, and everybody's familiar with Renoa with the blue clothes and the dark hair. It's still Renoa. It's just like the initial Renoa concept.
She can have a different
talking-
style. She's
What you
allowed to have a
talking about?
different style.
Blonde Renault is super cute.
Yeah, like I don't.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the argument.
I'm certainly not in disagreement with that. As far as the actual cards text,
I'd also like to point out if of any of the cards, like of any of the games ever, like Cat 8 is the one. Like Squall, the Mono Fire, well, the fire card that is the best fire Squall has blonde hair. That's not normal.
That's also a
not
mono
normal.
render. Like,
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's like-
alt art
people
is
don't have-
fine.
and
Yeah,
the
and,
Amano
like-
artwork for the Opus 6 Renoa is also the blonde hair Renoa.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're also spending a lot of time talking about like the art and the direction that this Renault is going because the card itself is kind of pants.
Yeah, that's what I meant by
I
yeah.
don't know about that, actually.
I mean, you're either paying 7 to kill a 4 cost, which didn't we say that about Zell? Kind of bad, or you're waiting 2 turns where you're probably just dead to everything else anyway.
But this isn't so much just like Zell is just AK the thing. This is you sack that thing. It's slightly more important to think about it from that perspective.
I don't know.
And
I feel
the
like
what-
Water just
like
has
the-
so many of these cards already that just
It's-
do this but better.
On the same token as well, the cheap warp cost combined with the low warp time is actually pretty relevant because when
I
it
don't
comes
count-
in,
I
you're gonna
don't
have your backups active.
I don't count that as low warp time. All of them have
Yeah.
been 2 except 1.
but also
2 is
it's
the average.
it's warp 2, which is an acceptable amount of warp. Anything above 2 is kind of not
Yeah.
no. But the fact it's cheap cost, it's 1. That's 3 CP to cast it to 1 CP, waiting 2 turns, to then pay X, which is circumstantial, but at least generally 3. Like you aren't going to use Renault to kill anything less than a 3 cost. So warp 1 plus 3, waiting 2 turns is a 4 cost 7k that does nothing. The only redeeming factor I see it having is the fact it's put into break zone, not break. So
It gets around break effects.
it gets
Which
around
is-
breaking forwards, but paying 1 extra for a thing that every other card does 90% of the time.
Well, Well, think
Uh,
think about it from this perspective, right? Think about it from this perspective. You can either pay the 7 CP now, or you pay 1 CP, wait a couple of turns, and then pay 4 CP when all your backups are active.
And then
Yeah,
your
but-
opponent's got
but
even
it's-
more things
but
in
it's
play than
it's
you have
oh
to
yeah,
worry
why all your backups are active? But then
You've lost
that
the
is
turn.
that turn. Yeah, you are
Yeah,
paying
that's your
4
entire turn.
backups later, which is your CP for that turn. Like you don't get that back. It is
Mm.
you are paying 4 CP instead of playing your turn.
Yeah, you do lose a
It's-
fair bit of
That's
tempo
not
playing this card.
necessarily a bad thing in some
It is
cases.
if you're like it's one of those cards that if you're swinging for gain, yes, great. But if you're not, it does nothing. It's It's a 3-cost 7k that really doesn't do any. Like the fact that it says on play, it's a 3-cost 7k, which is, I guess,
Pretty much
10
on
opuses ago was on curve. But it's a 3-cost 7k that says you can pay X to kill something of cost X, which means you are paying exactly what it costs your opponent to play said card. Like, Renoa's never going to be plus value. It is always going to be equal value. And
But would you not say the same thing about a summon? This is a summon
Generally,
with a 7k
no.
forward attached.
but it's not. It's a 7k, like, 7-cost summon. Like, it's
Also,
it's a worse version of Phoenix, the
Also,
7-cost Phoenix.
I wanna.
But
Sorry, go
just-
on. There's something I want to say though. Go on.
I can't. It's hard to.
I know
Not to
you're trying to. I know you're finding it difficult to justify it, but I do not want people to sleep on this card.
I do want to say one
I think
thing
it will
though.
be around.
This is the one time you would AMI the ETB over the warp.
Well, yeah.
Make
because
them
they-
Even
pay
then,
the extra.
no. I don't think so, because it's like, oh yeah, I'll pay the I'll cancel the ETB over the warp, but then that puts Renoa in your opponent's break zone. RFG means you cannot touch this card.
I know, but I still rather make
You
them.
just-
But they lose a turn if they pay 4, tapping all their backups, AMI it, kill it. It's in their break zone, but you've basically got a time walk. You've taken another turn.
Yeah, I see it. I kind of see it from that
Eh.
perspective as well. Like,
Which is another downside of the card.
That's what I'm saying. That's the
It's
point I'm
just-
trying to make.
It's I love this. I read the card and I went, this is wonderful, but I just can't justify it ever making the cut.
I'd
I
rather-
have to agree.
So many downsides.
Yeah.
I'd run it as a 1 and ignore the special. That's just me.
Well, we're
But
ignoring the
then-
special
then
anyway.
why
Let's
aren't
be
you
honest.
why aren't you running what was it? Shinryu Celestia, which is neg 10 to something, which is going to be like better than that. Like it's
And that also
not
gets
got
around the indestructible as well, so it just
yes,
does it
because it's
better.
reducing power, so
Yeah.
it puts it into break regardless, but it doesn't do
Well,
anything. It's not played.
Are
It's-
we-
it-
But to do that neg 10, aren't you sacking the Shinryu to do it?
I mean,
Yeah. That
yes,
becomes
but
a
also
4-cost.
Endor
But it-
and
yeah,
Warrior.
But with Renoa, I'm producing a body while I'm killing a thing.
Not a
Whereas
relevant
with Shin-
body though.
It's
It's-
a body's a body. I don't care. Like, a body is.
I will give him that. A body is a body.
When it comes
Yeah.
when it comes to water decks, like, you're like, look at Vikings, for example. They're all 1k bodies. You don't care. They're still dealing 1 point of damage to your opponent if there's nothing
Yeah,
in
but-
front of them.
It's because they cost nothing. That
Hmm.
card to be relevant costs at least 7, like 6, 7. Like it's. I don't know. Just for me, it's not there.
Audience,
I'll-
prove
I'm
which
happy
one
to
is
be.
right.
I'm happy to be proven otherwise, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see Renoa being played.
Mad
I
scientists,
will
get on it.
happily
Yeah.
play one
Please.
copy of it and ignore the special.
People
But
that
let's
are
move on.
better than me, please do this.
We digress.
7 cost Luna Freya. Warp 4 for 2 water. When Luna Freya enters the field, draw 2 cards. When Luna Freya enters you to warp, draw 1 card. 2 separate abilities, 5k.
So there is this card in Magic the Gathering called Ancestral Recall. That has a version of the card called Ancestral Vision, which is you pay 1 and you put this aside for 4 turns, and then you draw 3 cards later. That card saw a whole lot of play. This card probably won't.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say all that in factor. This isn't MTG for
This-
good reasons.
Yeah, this just shows you how much draw is like valued over discard. Because like you look at
I will-
Theodore, ignoring that Theodore's a legend. Let's just roll that. And the fact that Lunafreya is a 5k, you got to wait twice as long to draw 3 as opposed to Theodore coming out 2 turns later and making your opponent discard 3
Yeah,
and having things on top of that.
See, I will say though, discard you can play around, especially with Theodore.
Yes.
Luna Freya, though, I feel like in the opposite accentuates how good and important drawing cards in Final
Our
Fantasy
games
is.
as a whole. Yeah.
Because in Magic, the card is draw 3, which gives you options. In Final Fantasy, it is plus 6 CP.
Yeah.
I don't think I just want to say I don't think Luna Freya is great, but
I'm not
if
chucking it in
Luna
trap.
Freya resolves it, there is plenty of times Mono Water is probably the only time Luna Freya will be played. It won't be played in like a Fire Water or anything.
No.
If Luna Freya is played, it will be in a Mono Water deck with something like Mog 6, where the entire premise of the deck is draw cards to get results. Luna Freya, mid game, is a completely neutral thing that you go, okay, pay 2 water, remove this card from my hand. I now have 5 cards in hand, so I don't have to discard. And if the game is still going in 4 turns, I win.
Yeah, it's why I didn't
But
go completely over this thing. I
don't
think
think
it's trash. I think it's good.
It has its spot. I don't know if its spot's good enough to warrant playing it.
What's the timing
But,
restriction? What's the timing restriction on the mob?
Actually, this would be a great thing to play off of Setzo if you set it on top of the
Yeah,
Leviathan.
you just set
Yes,
Yeah.
On play, draw 2, beautiful. But Water has so many cards that are on play, draw 2, discard 1, which still triggers Mog 6. So
Is Mog 6
It's
end of turn effect or
yes,
it is at the
Okay.
end of each
Yeah.
turn.
I was gonna say
end of turn, do a thing. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Mog wasn't, if say Mog could have been Ami'd, this is a good bait into getting rid of an Ami for Mog, or you draw 3. But I didn't know what the timing restriction on Mog was.
Yeah, but the problem is if you're playing a Mog deck, like I agree, it's a good bait for Ami. But the fact that it can't bait an Ami and resolve is what makes Mog so good.
Yes.
It is. If you're playing a Mog deck, it is choose a forward, put it into the break zone unconditionally. You cannot respond.
Yeah.
Like it is put into, not break. So it is choose a forward, put it in the break zone. That's it.
Yeah.
And Luna Freya just puts you so much into that. Like you just draw 3. Yep, cool. I have 1,000 ways in one to draw 1. So Luna Freya is making Mog 6 resolve, but
Oh, they printed one just in this set with that Geomancer.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you warp this in, you Geomancer, and that's what
Have
I meant.
fun.
Is like because draw is so good, that's why this Luna Freya has to look infinitely weaker than Theodore at first glance.
Exactly.
Alright.
Yep.
Moving on. 4-cost Leo EX Burst backup. When Leo enters the field, choose 1 forward, return it to its owner's hand. If you control 2 or more job standard units, put it on top of its owner's deck. Interesting, but
This
move
is
on.
a card that there's 2 things to say about this card. It is a FFCC, which Wind Water has wanted a good water target for ages. It's had some decent ones, but this is probably enough to go, okay, it's worth it. But I read this card and went, and then I read it again because I read everything again and again, obviously.
EX Burst get rid of an attacker.
Yeah, but it's also
yeah.
if you control 2 or more job standard unit,
Not just
not forwards,
Yeah.
just standard unit. Which
Mhm.
Mono Water, that's most of its backups.
Yeah.
I'm not saying some of, most of.
Yeah.
Like a lot
It's
of cards
another.
in Mono Water is standard
Well,
unit.
that's why I said get rid of attacker. I didn't say get rid of it by bouncing it. You're getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Another important thing to note about it as well is that it's Job King, so Sarah can search for it.
FFCC
Yeah, Sarah
searches and
searches
Sarah's
Yeah,
it gets searched
Sarah
by
and
both
North
sides.
Star search it, so it's worth a
I
second.
feel
look
like
for that
I
one.
feel like yes, but when I'm analyzing cards, Sarah searches it, yes, but also if Sarah is searching a card with an EX burst to search for a card, you are taking that from the deck. So therefore, it kind of levels out as it's not an optimal Sarah target. But if you're turn 1 drawing Princess Sarah and Sarah, or Sarah, whatever it is,
Mm.
if you're drawing them, Leo 100% becomes target number 2.
Yeah.
Or Lena. But if you're
Gordon, I guess.
if you're running a deck that you're playing Sarah to search Leo, don't. It's not.
Yeah.
Leo is never going to be your target number 1. It is another target, and Sarah also searches for herself, doesn't she?
Yes.
So
It may be
him being a king is pretty irrelevant, but it is a thing. So it's a nice thing to think of. But
it may be a number 1. No, you got Princess Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah, you've also another thing to note as well is Claris searches for it. So if that's enough,
That's the same
another
basic
funky thing.
principle.
Also,
Yeah.
North
I know.
Stalin is FFCC.
Yeah,
but
So you have 3 different 4-cost backups
yes,
to search
yeah.
for this card.
it's another neutral card to put in Windwater
And
because you are running Sarah, not Stalin.
the problem
Leo
is
is
it's
just
a
like,
4 cost.
oh, well.
The problem is it's a 4
Yeah, but
cost.
it's not. It's
It's not really a full cost.
cause it's. I mean,
If you're playing a backup setup, then yes.
yeah, but
Like in terms of value of playing backups early to set up, it is.
it's kind of an interesting point because it's never going to be that card you search for backup setup. It's always going to be the card you search to deal with things.
Yes.
So if it bounces a 4 cost, it's a neg 4 cost. Like it's pretty. Like it's a very, 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 in all aspects, regardless of whether it bounces to your opponent's hand or puts it on top of their deck. Top of their deck is infinitely better. Don't get me wrong, because then you can attack.
But you're also, but if it bounces to
have to
hand,
deal with
you're then giving your opponent 2 resource.
Yes, but your opponent, unless paid with only backups, is giving them a neutral card back in hand. So it's because they have to pay for that cost again.
Yeah.
To play it.
Yeah, but
so if you're targeting a 4 cost with Leo, he will always be a completely 100% neutral play that is probably worth putting in Windwater because of Sarah and Norstalin. He is so searchable. To get 2 CP in your hand, regardless, you can discard him. Like he's I don't know how better to put it other than Leo is just the perfect example of a purely neutral backup. Like he doesn't give or take. He's just.
I disagree with that personally, but that's just arguing maths.
So
I look at this and I think to myself.
Yeah, I like the card personally. Like, there's multiple ways to search for it. It's got EX burst, so if it happens to go to damage, you still get an effect from it. It bounces. Water loves bouncing things. There's a whole bunch of cards that say if you bounce a thing, get bonus.
So Tross makes Tross
Leviathan.
Yeah. So he's not an incredible card, but I expect to see half of the water decks having Leo.
I plan to have at least 1 copy.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that. I do agree with you on that. I just think the math is, but we're good. I think
let's ignore the math.
I look at this and I think to myself, could this not have just been a forward?
All right, 3 cost Lena, Warrior of Light, forward 7k. All cards in your break zone cannot be removed from the game by your opponent's summons or abilities. Remove 12 water cards in your break zone from the game. Choose 1 water forward in your break zone. Play it onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn.
So this is the card that says no to Mist Dragon.
Yeah.
Yep. And what a card it is.
It's also the card that says I'm going to get a discount Leviathan Lord of the Wall.
Yeah, nah. This card, its effect reads remove 12 water cards to play Leviathan. Like, there's no other way
You're
to ever
playing.
play the
Yeah.
You're playing a Leviathan.
unless you're
choose
playing
like-
Vice Kings, which you can kind of justify playing a Lena to then play a Viking that reveals the top 5 to play a Viking, but
No.
No.
It's,
There's 2 good targets for this Lena. It's either Ash, because you've got one in your bin and you need to play another one for reasons, or Leviathan.
But
And both cases will
Thancred,
kill
though.
copious amounts of stuff.
Or, and I think this is important to note, there is a little bit of a PS sort of small text at the bottom of this, or whatever you need to win that turn.
Which is usually Leviathan or Ash.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be those two. If you got an option that lets you win right then and there, cool, I'm doing this now. But I love this card, and I love the art. I love Dinosaur.
I read this and I think to myself, like, this just reminds me of that one Hearthstone card that's like, if you have no duplicates in your deck, you get an 8/8 haste that just bashes your opponent's face in. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember that it was a thing. It's this with Leviathan.
So I'm pretty sure said Dragon Boy is Sildra, isn't it?
No, that's
no,
that's the Windrake actually.
Yeah, that's the other Windrake. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sildra is Faris's mate.
Oh, Faris had Sildra in the background.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, next card. 2-cost Len, backup, generic dull, draw one card. You can only use this ability if you have cast a summon this turn, and only once per turn.
I'd love this more if it didn't have the cost. If it was
Yeah.
just tap, draw a card.
If it was tap draw card.
No matter how cheap you make your summons, this still feels expensive.
Like, because you got to cast the summon first,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna spend in essence 2 CP to draw a card.
Yeah, best case scenario is Rydia, but even then...
No, my idea is you just run like Lena Turbo with a bunch of Moogles and Poo-Poos and all those other cheap summons to draw you cards, and then this is just adding more fuel to the fire.
Only redeeming factor, she hot. Move on.
Yeah, she kind of hot.
Good art is good art.
10 out of 10 will bang next.
I was about to say 11 out of 10 would hit again.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's the Tinder one? Swipe left or something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we in business now.
11 out of 10 would Netflix and chill with 10-2 again.
Yeah, pretty
Wait,
much.
hold on. What? Yeah, she is cat 10.
Yeah, she's 10.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Len. Yes.
Yeah, it's Len.
I don't know the games as well. 3-cost Waka, EX Burst, Waka. Backup, EX Burst. When Waka enters the field, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 water or category 10 card among them to your hand. Return the other cards to the bottom of the deck in any order.
I find
quite
it
like this
so
card.
hard to find a really good spot for this card because he is either fucking good or fucking bad. Because in Wind Water, it's not the Waka you're playing.
Yep, there is
In
a better
Water
Waka.
Guardians, it is not the Waka you're playing. In Mono Water,
It's
This card's
definitely
great.
the Waka you're playing.
Yeah,
Yes.
in Mono Water, this is the
it's
Waka
the
you
Waka
play.
you're playing.
That's
Pretty
why I
much all
like
I'm
that.
saying is,
that's
no
why I
matter
like-
the circumstances, my boy Waka is in the deck. I'm happy.
I do like that this one is a Blitzballer. I feel that was intentional.
Well, yeah, he's
Oh,
holding
yeah.
a Blitz ball. It's better than the Titus, because he should have been a Blitz baller too.
Someday we'll get Blitzballer Titus. Anyway,
Yeah, but
that's...
that Waka is actually incredible.
Yeah, I like it.
Burst is relevant. The fact that it can add any card. Again,
Water
Yeah.
card, but yes.
Water card or Cat 10 card. Veil Force
Yeah.
Cat 10.
Nah, it's
Waka
Water
Waka.
card. You are playing Mono Water with this Waka.
That's what I was
You're not
saying.
playing
That's what I
this.
said.
100.
Look, you could
1000%,
play
yeah.
a Fire Water, but at the same time, you probably should be playing the other Waka. But
No,
or
no,
Earth
no,
Water,
no,
I
we're go-
guess, because there's some I don't know.
What-
It's,
what
it's
are we
hard
playing?
to justify outside of Mono Water.
Well, are we
You
playing
go water
LeBlanc or
fire.
me?
You go all in on saying no to things, and you just run all the jacks, and you just cock block
Yeah,
all of
Waka
the people.
surges up the Jacks and the Leviathans.
Well,
And
anyway,
Amy.
that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
end.
No, it doesn't get out of that.
Leviathan. Oh.
That's a good end to the water set. We'll probably do the next ones together as a whole because it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
But we'll be doing light, dark, and multi-element. Starting with the first light card, 1 cost.
I would just
Eleanor.
like to point out before we move on as well with Water, just because we've done it with the rest. I'll just go blank here in terms of neutral. Last set, Mono Wind, Mono Fire were the 2 best colours. Everything was a bit behind. I feel like Mono Fire went up a little bit. Mono Wind went up a little bit. Ice Wind went up a little bit. So they're all still the 3 top dogs, in my opinion. Everything else went up a bit more than them. So everything's slowly following.
Mono Water has
Mono
really
Water got
spiked.
possibly the better of them all. So Mono Water's the one that's knocking at the door saying, let's go. But the other
You're
three
right, yeah.
colors went up enough that this is very much a set of balancing skill gaps between colors. So I feel like if you want to play the game for fun, this is a set to do it. Last set, anyone joined, I literally said, "Here's Avalanche starter deck." Well, I said, "Do you like to play aggro or control?" And depending on their response, it was, "Here's Avalanche" or "Here's Guardian." Here's the tweaks. This is how you make the deck good. This set, I'm happy to give anyone anything. It's much closer, but yeah, you still have the underlying better colors. But yeah, just before we move into multicolor and everything, that's how I'm
No, that's fine.
rating this set. But yeah,
All
cool.
right.